So yeah, you saw the title, man. This dude from Houston. The name of his page is Keeping It Real with Trill. Y'all definitely be sure to go tune in, tap in, like, subscribe, and check his content out, man. He's from Houston, and he says that the Surenos run prisons, man. So let's check him out.
Welcome to Houston. Hey, for y'all that don't know what's going on, the people right next to you will tell you what is going on. And this is the hottest show on YouTube right now, Keeping It Real with Trill. Listen, don't let them fool you. The Bloods and Crips do not run anything when it comes to prison politics. In the state of California, in Texas, and nationwide, in the federal prison system, the Surenos, y'all are on deck. All right, listen, so for y'all that don't understand or know what I'm talking about, when you go to prison, 9 times out of 10, a person or an individual runs with a gang already. And you could run Blood, you could run Crip, that's called the gang car. You can run GD, you can run Vice Lord, that's called the coalition car. They run with the Midwest. You could run South, you could run which is Mississippi, Alabama, Texas, Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina. And then you got the Mexicans. There's 2 different Mexican factions. Today we're going to speak about one. And this Mexican faction is the deepest, is the toughest, and for shit show runs the federal prison system. No holds barred, hands down. They run everything. Nothing hits the yard without their permission. For real, for real.
Now, he just said that they run the federal prison system. So I've done time in the California prison system, so I don't know about the feds. So I'm going to just have to honestly sit back and listen to this dude, man, and, you know, let him talk about his experience. I do know many dudes who have done times in the feds, and I've never heard them say that in order for a Crip or a Blood or anybody else who wasn't a Sureno to make a play, get something cracking in prison, he would have to get their permission and run it through the Surenos. But once again, let's get back into what he has to say.
That is the Surenos. The Surenos is a Mexican California, a Southern Mexican California street gang that is formed by a bunch of different sets of California neighborhoods, such as Florencia, this hood, that hood, or whatever. Not gonna name too many different gangs. Now, MS-13 at one time, I believe, was involved with the Sureno movement, which is another episode, another time. But every other Mexican that's in the federal penitentiary is more than likely going to be a Sureno. The Surenos are ran with strength and numbers. Black people, the blacks love to say that they can whoop a Mexican and they can run them, but don't believe it, because nobody will put their hands on a Sureno and either one, live to tell about it, or 2, not get dealt with swiftly.
So now the time gonna see they boys fight, they gotta fight. Because they people fight getting jumped. Because dogs are flushing them. Bloop, bloop, bloop. They don't know what's going on. They just gotta fight their fight.
The Surenos have many rules, and they are respected. I went to California jail. I went to the county in California jail, and the Mexicans have their side of the day room, and the blacks have their side of the day room. You cannot walk through the Mexican side of that day room. They have their own phones on the wall, and blacks have their own phones. You cannot touch their phones. Even if all the black phones are taken up, you cannot touch their phones. When you line up for chow, the Mexicans line up, and then the blacks line up, or the blacks line up, and the Mexicans, they take turns. It's a respectful thing.
Now, what he's saying is very true. In the California prisons, the Mexicans, they do have their side of the day room. The Southern Mexicans, they do have their phones, their showers, and you cannot use that unless you program with them. But the blacks have their respective phones, showers, side of the day room as well. And the Southsiders cannot use the blacks' phones, the black showers, or walk through the day rooms as well. It goes both ways.
Right? Now, just because they run shit and they got the most numbers, they're not always disrespectful. Surenos have to show respect or they will get dealt with. Plain and simple. They are run, even though there are a bunch of different sets that come together and become one faction. Crips and Bloods cannot do that. Crips have different factions and they get to beefing. They have problems. And when they come to prison, those problems still exist, or they may not, but whatever it is, it's still no unity, no organization, and no respect for the next. Those Surenos may have beef in the streets, but when they come to prison, that is washed out by a person that runs them, and it's called the Mano Negra, aka the Black Hand. Now, these Black Hand individuals are nothing or nobody to play with.
Now, I noticed this individual said that he's from Houston, right? So I don't necessarily know how in depth his knowledge is in relation to the California politics, because while he's talking about, you know, the Surenos and so on and so forth, he implemented a picture into this video of a dude who was a well-known informant, a dude who is well known to be detested, right, by the Southsiders and so on and so forth. So for him just to even insert that picture in association with them kind of lets me know he's not as well as informed as he may think he is.
These Black Hands run everything from New York to California when it comes to the federal prison system. These individuals are placed everywhere. Most of these individuals have multiple life sentences and are never going home. The California state system, I believe, have their own Black Hands, and all of them are connected in some kind of way. Most the Black Hands that I encounter, most of them are drug addicts. The Surenos, the people that run Sureno, the ones that don't have any influence or power, I believe, are not allowed to get high. If they are allowed to get high, they have to get high in their own cell. But the Black Hand can do anything that he wants. The Mano Negra can do anything that he wants. And any call that he makes, it will be followed. And if it's not followed, that Sureno will be dealt with from in prison and out in the streets. The Surenos hold court in prison and in the streets. That Black Hand, that Mano Negra, makes a call from that phone in prison and can get you gone. Black Hands often get re-indicted and re-indicted and re-indicted because they still hold weight in the streets. An individual might come home and they make a phone call. Hey, boom, bop, 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 bing. Most Mano Negras have $300,000-$400,000 on their books. Anything that comes into the system through a Sureno has to pay reparations and tax every month. Every member in the Sureno faction has to pay to the Mano Negra. That's the organization. And I feel that's how it should be, because the Italian mafia does it, the Russian mafia does it, the triads do it, and the Surenos do it. And that's why it's fear and organization, because they move swiftly. When it comes down to prison politics, the Surenos do not play either. When the Surenos say they're coming, they're coming. They'll get on the platform and they'll talk and they'll hold a forum and they'll speak and they'll talk with certain individuals. But if those terms they can't be met, those Surenos are going to go back in between count time. They're going to hit that rec yard and they're going to pop it off. They're not doing no games. They're not doing no playing. Bloods and Crips do not move like that. They do not move like that. Many times a Blood or a Crip has done something, and the only demonstration that the Bloods and Crips put down is beating him down and getting him off the yard. The Surenos is not doing that. If a Sureno does anything disrespectful and the Mano Negra calls calls the X out, that boy better get off that yard, and he better get off that yard immediately, because if he don't get up out of there, he'll be leaving on a helicopter. You can either leave willingly or you're going to leave on a helicopter. And guess what? The Surenos ain't even really going to give you a chance to get up out of there. They're going to jump on the police and stab the police. They will jump on an inmate and kill him in front of the police. In federal prisons, Surenos have jumped on wardens. They have killed officers. They do not care. If I have seen instances where a Mano Negra sends 5 people to do a hit. Out of those 5 people, only 1 or 2 of them have a life sentence. 3 of them is getting ready to go home or got release dates here in the future. I've seen dudes with 15, 20 days to go home, and they got to go stab an inmate. And when they stab that inmate, he died. Everybody gets a life sentence. I've seen that multiple times. I've seen this over and over again. Mexican politics is way more stiffer than black politics. You don't have to worry about that in Blood and Crips. Blood and Crips continue to act like they like that and they really stand on business, but they only stand on business on the weak. They only pick on who they want to pick with. I've seen the Surenos ready to go to war. It takes the Muslim call, it takes the DC call, and it takes more people to get involved for a Blood and Crip to win a war against the Surenos. The Surenos are going to war about everything. Now, when it comes to, I'm not even going to get in that because a lot of people are still in that game. But anything that comes into the prison, 9 times out of 10, it got originated or put together by a Sureno, or it's getting taxed.
Now, once again, I've never done any federal time, and I don't necessarily know how true that is. I've had plenty of conversations with individuals who have done federal time, and you know, it's well known that different cars have different plays, meaning you have different individuals from different cars who have different plugs and connections who brings things in. So him saying 9 times out of 10, if something comes in, it comes in through a Sureno. I don't think this dude is too informed, man, or maybe he just hung out and participated in whatever car he participated in.
Some kind of way, somebody's hands got to get in. The Mexicans run the federal prison system, and in California, the Surenos run that state prison too. There's
once again, you know, in California, I've honestly, and I think everybody that's done time in California will agree with me, I've never seen one particular race even try to press a line or dictate what another race does in terms of business, cell phones, illegal paraphernalia. I've never seen or even heard of one race trying to press another race and impose some type of tax or some type of fee for doing business and, you know, just hustling in prison. Each race only runs his own race.
Another faction that we'll be speaking about of Mexicans on another episode. Correct me if I'm wrong when I tell y'all about who is really running the California or the federal prison system. The GDs are very organized and hold court and definitely demonstrate. But the GDs are small. The Surenos number in over 200 on any yard that they're in.
Now, for those who may not be familiar with this prison terminology or whatever, when he's talking about GDs, he's talking about the Gangster Disciples, which is a gang based out of Chicago. And of course, it has also spread throughout many different, you know, cities, states, so on and so forth.
The Surenos are connected. See, they don't down and they don't shun their members like Bloods and Crips do. When Bloods and Crips don't acknowledge out-of-town Crips or OTBs, out-of-town Bloods, that's what they call them. They don't acknowledge them. But in Surenos, they accept all their brothers. They got Surenos all the way in Florida. They got some in Nebraska, New Mexico, Utah. They got Surenos from Texas. They got Surenos in Colorado. They got Surenos all the way across the globe. And then when they had the MS-13 membership, they was even more populated and more violent, because we all know that the MS-13 is the most violent gang to ever touch the soil of America.
Now, he just said some things that potentially maybe his issue with the Bloods and Crips from California, right? He said California Bloods and Crips don't acknowledge other Crips and Bloods from other states. I just had a meeting, a phone call with a good homie of mine who done a lot of state time, and he also done a lot of Fed time, literally like 2 days ago. He's supposed to come on here, and we're going to try to knock out an interview sooner than later. And he said that he was locked up with Somalian Crips from everywhere, and he said they were accepted and embraced. What he did say is the culture is different between Crips from California and Los Angeles as opposed to these Crips from other states. You know, the gang banging is different, right? The close proximity between gangs in California, black gangs who feud with other gangs, is definitely different, right? But he said they were embraced. But when he does the interview, I will definitely be sure to, you know, hit this topic.
Don't let them lie to you. Don't let them trick you and tell you that they was like that. The only thing that's really like that in the federal prison system when it comes to blacks is the gangster disciples. Everything else is watered down. Did y'all know that the white boys, it'll be 5 white boys on the yard, and the blacks will be afraid of them? Correct me if I'm wrong. The Surenos outnumber blacks, I'm going to say 50 to 200. When you're in a dorm in a federal prison, the Surenos got more houses because it's more members. A house could stay empty. Nobody's allowed to go in that house because it's a Sureno house. It's called selling real estate. They do that on every yard. A house, a black inmate cannot even live in a house with a Sureno. They can't even live with each other. A Sureno cannot feed you. You cannot feed a Sureno. He can't drink. He can't even really do business with you for real, without getting in trouble from his superiors. I forgot what the percentage was, but they have to pay every single month. You have to pay some type of due or dues to that head honcho. It kills me because these individuals on the streets act like they so like that, but they're not like that. One time I was locked up with a black hand named Fish, right? He was a multi-millionaire. A lot of people thought he was a bullshit individual until I became his cellie. He was no longer a black hand. He backed out from the organization. He was really on his deathbed for real. He's probably got less than 5 years to live right now. But Fish.
Now, what he's saying is striking me as extremely odd. Like I said, I've never done any federal time, right? But a few minutes ago, literally, he just said that Sureños in the federal system cannot live with blacks. They cannot, share food with blacks, so on and so forth, right? And a lot of those things are true as well in the California system. But then he turns right around and says that he was in the cell with one. Is that what he just said? Let me just make sure, man. Let me just make sure that's what he was. I don't want to misquote him. Let me see what he said.
I became his cellie.
Yeah, okay. I'm just making sure. He said he became his cellie. Then he goes on to say that the dude was no longer part of whatever he was a part of, right? So it's very odd to me that they would allow that dude to still stay on the yard and then be in the cell with a black dude. So once again, I don't necessarily know, man, how knowledgeable this dude is. Either his knowledge is off, he's not honest, or whatever, right? Because let's keep it 100, man. That sounds extremely odd, man, for an individual in any particular prison where there are Southerners at, right, who are going to allow a Southerner to be on the yard and be in the cell with a black dude. So it just makes me wonder if this dude is either he's being dishonest or what type of prison were they in.
He was no longer a black hand. He backed out from the organization. He was really on his deathbed for real. He's probably got less than 5 years to live right now. But Fish showed me them bank accounts. Fish has tattoo parlors, big weed pharmacies, and he's got everything going on. The Surenos are running it. It ain't a black individual that's moving like that. Black, you meet a couple of black individuals in there, they sold bricks. A few here got businesses, but when it comes to having 10, 20, 30 to 100 million, I've only met one person that got M's like that. It's a black disciple nigga named Marvell. That's the only one I know that got M's like that. It's Marvell. I ain't met too many multi-millionaire blacks having that. Blacks have too much of a crabs in a bucket mentality to become powerful like the Surenos. They have too much of a crabs in a bucket mentality to come together with other black men to make a conglomerate. Blacks, for some reason, can't come together to do what they need to do because they're too busy hating on the next black. Mexicans don't do that. When you come through the door, Mexicans are going to embrace you. Then y'all get down to what you are. Okay, you're a Mexican mafia, you got to go. Oh, you're TS, you got to get over here. You're Tango Blast, all right, boom, 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 I'm a Sureno. I would like to shout out the Surenos. I love and respect y'all. I love everything that y'all got going on because I wish that my black people and my nation could get like that. Y'all know who it is. The man with all the motion. Y'all know who run the prison system. Correct me if I'm wrong. West nigga.
Okay, so once again, the name of that dude's channel was Keeping It Real with Trill, I believe, or something like that. Now, let me say this, man. This individual has definitely came on YouTube and put quite a bit of information out there, right? And I'm just reacting to what this individual has said. You know, this dude has uploaded this stuff to his channel and he's put this information out there, and I'm just reacting to whatever he said, right? So, hey, man, let me know what you guys think about what this dude said. And once again, you know, it's your boy 16 to life. Resume program.